At the age of 5, I was adopted by the G family. But 10 years later, they found out that on the day they adopted me, the lost true heiress was also there. They just chose me at that time. I was the one who should have died in place of the true heiress. After that, they were full of regret and resentment, wishing I had never appeared in their lives. Jize repeatedly stood by and did nothing when I was falsely accused. Smile, why don't you? Aren't you so fond of smiling? Back then, if it weren't for you smiling at me with that disgusting face of yours, I would have definitely chosen Aang. Ji Shanshan, it was you who caused Aang's death. It was you. After learning that I was pregnant with his child, Jize forcefully sent me to the operating table. That time, I died along with my unborn child. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day they came to the orphanage. Shanshan, what are you doing hiding here? I was hurriedly carried down from the rooftop by the aunt. Aunt Lin, I don't want to go. Aunt Lin gently patted the back of my hand. Silly child, today it's our richest man coming. As long as you're chosen, you'll never have to worry about food or clothing for the rest of your life. Make sure to smile later, understand? My heart tightened. I remember how in my past life, Jize would obsessively demand that I smile no matter what he did. When I was falsely accused of stealing, he wanted me to smile. When rumors were spread about me, he wanted me to smile, and even when he learned I was pregnant with his child, he only paused for a moment before still insisting that I smile. He wanted me to smile while having an abortion. I pursed my lips. In the end, the moment the luxury car stopped, I hid in the storage room. In this life, I absolutely do not want to have anything to do with the G family. I don't know how long later, I fell asleep. When I was found, I heard that this time the G family's adoption didn't go through. I don't know why, but I don't really care. At night, I lay in bed, looking at the 30-plus roommates in the dorm. I don't know who the G family's true daughter is. According to the G family, the true daughter is right here among them. Although I don't want to have much contact with the G family, in my past life during the first 10 years of my adoption, Father G, Mother G, and Jize were all really good to me. I thought that if the real daughter could return to them in this life, it would count as repaying their kindness to me in the past life. But before I could act, when the G family came the second time, all of us girls aged 5 or 6 were required to give blood samples. In the past life, this had never happened. After the blood draw, I saw Jize walking toward me with a cold expression. My heart suddenly stirred. I heard that this blood test was requested by the young master of the G family. Could Jize have also been reborn? I lowered my head and stepped aside. A pair of expensive sneakers paused in front of me for a moment before continuing on. The next day, I found that one of my roommates was gone. In my memory, that little girl was quiet and always cried, a real crybaby. I never expected that crybaby to be the G family's real daughter. The peaceful days didn't last 2 days before the G family came again. This time, they said they wanted to adopt a foster daughter to keep their own daughter company. And this time, I didn't manage to avoid it. Everyone, including me, stood in a row, waiting for the G family to come and choose. The first to get out of the car was the eldest miss of the G family. The former crybaby had now clearly become a little princess protected by everyone. Jize held her the entire way and only set her down when they reached us. Many people gathered around Jiying, their eyes full of surprise. Although everyone was young, none of them were naive. They all knew that if they could walk with Jiying today, they too could wear such beautiful dresses in the future. They could also live in a big house and be served. Everyone looked at Jiying with eager eyes. But for some reason, Jiying stopped in front of me. My heart tightened and my hands moved faster than my mind. I pushed Jiying to the ground.
Ying, Shansfan, Ying.
That day, I was punished by the orphanage mother to stand facing the wall for 3 hours. I thought that with this push, the G family would never adopt me. But 3 days later, I still got into the G family's luxury car. The orphanage mother said the G family had adopted me, and the paperwork was already completed. I felt as if struck by lightning, but the matter was settled, and I could only accept it. Fortunately, Jiying was easy to get along with, and Ji's father and mother were as caring toward me as in the first 10 years of my previous life. The coldest person toward me in the family was Jize. He almost never spoke to me, but sometimes I would catch him silently staring at me. A few days later, During dinner, I heard Ji Zhe suggest to father and mother Ji, "Dad, let's install heating for the orphanage." I froze and lowered my head. Actually, I had been hesitating these past few days about how to prevent the tragic fate of the orphanage in my past life. The fire back then was caused by improper use of electric blankets. The orphanage had always been short on funds. An electric blanket could last for 10 years. I was negligent. They took care of Ying for several years. We should show our gratitude somehow. This time, the Ji family not only installed heating for the orphanage, but also donated 10 million yuan. I never expected that a solution I had racked my brains over would be resolved with just one sentence from Ji Zhe. Although I still kept my distance from Ji Zhe, to be honest, I was very grateful to him, setting aside the grudges between us from our past lives. Ji Zhe's rebirth had indeed changed the fates of many unfortunate people. In the blink of an eye, Ji Ying and I had reached high school age. Over these years, my life with the Ji family had been calm and comfortable. Ji Ying had been found and brought back, and the Ji family's business had grown even larger than in the past life. Ji Zhe, though still in college, had already started interning at the company. Over the years, my contact with Ji Zhe has been minimal. Besides my deliberate avoidance of him, Ji Zhe has always been quite cold toward me, forming a stark contrast to his boundless affection for Ji Ying. Both Ji's parents and Ji Ying often felt very embarrassed about this, especially Ji Ying, who has been a crybaby since childhood. And I knew that the reason I was adopted by the Ji family was so that someone could take care of Ji Ying. So over the years, aside from studying, my life has revolved entirely around Ji Ying. At all times, I put Ji Ying first, and Ji Ying is very dependent on me. So when everyone heard that I wanted to attend number 1 high school, Ji's parents and even Ji Zhe looked at me with surprise. Shan, why do you suddenly want to go to number 1 high school? Yeah, even though your grades are great for a family like ours, there's really no need to work so hard. Ji Ying nodded repeatedly, tears in her eyes. I subconsciously clenched my hands. Yes, for a child born into a family like the Ji family, there was no need to take the hardest path. They had even planned out their children's lives from the start. Attend an elite school, then go abroad, especially with Ji Zhe being so outstanding. As long as Ji Ying and I obediently complied, we could live a life of comfort and security forever. But I didn't want that. In this life, I wanted to live the way I truly desired. So for the first time, I, always the obedient one, became stubborn. The Ji family members took turns trying to persuade me, but I still refused to nod. I never expected that this time it was Ji Zhe who helped me. He said, "Let her be." Just those 3 short words. Those words allowed me to successfully get into the city's top high school. After starting high school, I left early and returned late every day. Even after evening self-study, I would stay behind to study until very late. Once, the Ji family's driver dropped me off at the school gate and a classmate saw it. After that, I refused the driver service and insisted on taking the bus to school. Although Ji's parents didn't understand, they respected my decision. At first, being apart from Ji Ying was a bit uncomfortable for me, but I was soon overwhelmed by the heavy academic workload of first-year high school. That day after evening self-study, I spent a lot of time looking at materials because I didn't understand a problem. By the time the security guard came looking for me, I realized it was almost 11. When I hurried to the bus stop, the last bus had already departed. Fortunately, in this life, the Ji family had never treated me poorly. Although I tried to spend as little of their money as possible, the balance in my phone account was never less than 7 digits. I hailed a car using a ride-hailing app on my phone. As soon as I got in, I noticed the driver giving me a strange look. "Are you still in school, little sister?" The man's voice sounded greasy. Our school requires students to wear uniforms, so his question was clearly ill-intentioned. I gave a faint in response and set an alarm on my phone. It would go off in a minute. Suddenly, my phone rang. I thought it was the alarm, but it turned out to be Ji Zhe. After a moment of hesitation, I still answered. "Where are you?" His voice on the other end sounded a bit low. I paused for a moment. "You're getting a cab home now?" I replied. "Send me the license plate number." "Where are you now?" I glanced outside and gave an address. It happened to be at the entrance of a night market, which was quite crowded. "Get out of the car now and wait for me to pick you up." No, I can go back by myself." I refused repeatedly. There was a brief silence on the other end, then he hung up. No sooner had the call ended than Jize sent a message. License plate number. I had no choice but to send it over. The car fell quiet for a while. When we arrived at the destination, I saw someone standing at the street corner from a distance. Seeing me get out of the car, Jize turned around silently. I silently followed behind him. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Jize's voice came. "Are you afraid of me?" I paused in my steps. In my past life, the matter of Ji Ing having been in the orphanage as well was exposed at this very moment. At this time, what I faced were the cold stares of the Ji parents and Jize's resentful expression. Overnight, I went from being the apple of their eye to a homeless dog. Although I still attended an elite school, those classmates were experts at reading the room. After knowing that the Ji family had abandoned me, I faced endless troubles. Snakes that would appear in my school bag at any time, glue on my chair. All sorts of pranks. At first, they still held back out of consideration for the Ji family and Jize. But when they realized that the Ji family and Jize simply wouldn't bother with me, those so-called pranks only got worse. Until one time at a classmate's birthday party, I was drugged. By the time I noticed, it was already too late. That time, I barged into Jize's room. This only made Jize, who already despised me, wish me dead even more. There was no need for vicious words or for Jize to do anything. Just one look from him, icy cold and filled with utter disgust, was enough to leave me feeling frozen to the bone. Jize's mother said I was too vicious, that I couldn't bear to give up the wealth of the Ji family and was crazy to want to be their daughter-in-law. She said the Ji family must have done something terrible in a past life to deserve me. That's why I was here in this life, to collect on that debt. Each of those words sliced back and forth across my heart like a slow death by 1,000 cuts. I wanted to leave, to run, to escape. But I had nowhere to go. And I didn't have any money on me. In the end, I still mustered up the courage to leave the Ji family. But I had no education and no skills. So I could only find a job at a milk tea shop, just getting by. But all of that came to an abrupt end when I found out I was pregnant. Jize forcefully sent me to the operating table. He said he would never allow me to have his child, that it disgusted him. I begged Jize once, because a cut on my body wouldn't stop bleeding. Back then, the doctor told me my blood clotting function was very poor. Even a minor wound, if not treated in time, could cost me my life. And I really wasn't fit for that surgery either. But Jize still forcefully sent me to the operating table. I didn't survive, of course. But in my past life, as I lay dying, I wasn't afraid at all. I even felt that leaving this world like this might not be so bad.
Bang!
Trapped in the memories of my past life, I didn't notice Jize had stopped walking. I crashed heavily into him.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
I quickly stepped back 2 paces and apologized to Jize with my head bowed. The man was wearing a camel-colored trench coat. The eyes behind the gold-rimmed glasses were obscure and unreadable. After a long moment, he turned and walked away without a word. But that evening was just a minor interlude. What followed was the overwhelming pressure of more demanding coursework. Unlike my previous life, No. 1 high school had a very tight curriculum. By the second year of high school, we had already finished most of the third-year courses. Then came endless drills and exercises. For the summer break between sophomore and junior year, we only had 3 days off. After 3 days, we had to return for extra classes. Yet Ji Ing had already planned a trip abroad with her classmates. Shan, I thought we finally had summer break and you could spend more time with me. Why do you still have to attend extra classes? Ji Ing had long applied to foreign schools, waiting only for her high school graduation to study abroad. I smiled and turned around. No. 1 high school has always been like this, but it's been a long time since I last played with you. Ji Ing looked a bit disappointed. Before high school, we were almost inseparable. Except for going to the bathroom, we even slept together.
U understood Yinke's disappointment.
It's okay, just enjoy your trip. If you see anything fun or tasty, send them to me, okay? Just pretend you took me along for the fun. I'm telling the truth. I'm also curious about life abroad. I want to go have fun too, but there's no way. I'm not smart enough. I have to use almost all my strength just to barely keep my place in the top 3 of my grade. I hardly dare to let up even a little. And even though I'm in the top 3 in my grade, My ranking in the joint exam is already after the top 200. Not enough. My efforts are still not enough. After Jiying left, I simply moved into the school dormitory. This way, I can at least study for 1 more hour every day. Of course, although Ji's mother wasn't too happy about it at first, she finally agreed. Every day of senior year, I wished I could use 1 day as 2. Except for going back to stay 1 night a week, I spent all my time at school. During this time, I rarely saw Jize. Every time I went back, I would hear Ji's mother nagging, saying things like she didn't know if Jize was gay, or that he wouldn't even bother to find a girlfriend. Every time Ji's mother said that, it would make Ji-ing laugh heartily. For Labor Day, the school gave us 3 days off. Ji-ing came to wait for me at the school gate right away. I thought Ji-ing had the family driver pick me up, but I didn't expect to see Jize sitting in a Maybach as soon as I walked out, dressed in a black custom suit paired with his cold, aloof face. I saw plenty of female classmates standing at the gate, sneaking glances in that direction. I raised the book in my hand to hide, but Ji-ing had already spotted me. Shanshan. Ji-ing's voice was sweet and playful. She opened the door and grabbed my arm. Shanshan, we're over here. Are you so buried in your books you can't even see such a big car parked here? With that, she pulled me along and shoved me into the car. Bro, let's go. I want to eat at that hot pot place. I heard Ji-ing say a new hot pot restaurant had opened in the mall. The broth was good, and so were the dishes. By the time we arrived, the hot pot place was packed. We had to wait in line for over an hour before it was our turn. Shanshan, what pot do you want? Anything's fine, I said, fidgeting nervously in my seat. Ji-ing wanted to order the sour soup pot and the spicy pot, but in the end, Jize swapped one of them, replacing the spicy pot with a mushroom pot. I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. My stomach had been off lately. Even though I tried to eat on time every day, when the stomach pain hit, it was unbearable. After dinner, we returned to the Ji family home together. With exams coming up soon, Ji-ing wasn't as clingy as before when I came back. Instead, she tactfully excused herself and left. But at that moment, my stomach seemed to ache more and more. At first, I thought I had eaten something bad and made a few trips to the bathroom. When it got too much, I rummaged out the painkillers I was used to and took them. The painkillers worked well. Not long after taking them, I was able to read normally again. In the following days, Mother Ji invited me to stay over, saying she could cook nutritious, tasty meals. I hesitated but ultimately declined. For the college entrance exam, I was lucky to be assigned to the test center at my own school. After 3 days, I had almost exhausted my last ounce of strength. When I got home, I slept like a log until the next day. Perhaps because I hadn't eaten for a long time, I woke up with a stomachache. Just as I was about to go out and find something to eat, I opened the door and saw Jize leaning against the doorframe, smoking. Seeing me, we both froze for a moment. Mom wants you to come down for dinner. Jize's voice was faint as he turned and stubbed out the cigarette. I nodded and said, okay. We went downstairs, one after the other. During dinner, everyone asked how I did on the exam. Actually, I thought it was okay, but I didn't dare to sound too confident, so I just said, it should be fine. Ji-ing put a piece of food in my bowl. Shanshan, you must have done great. We've all seen how hard you've worked these 3 years. Shanshan, you'll definitely get into Tsinghua and Peking University. My chopsticks paused for a moment, but I smiled and nodded. On the day the scores came out, the whole Ji family stayed home. Jize was also kept behind by Ji-ing. The moment I entered my ID and exam registration number, my score was blocked. Shanshan, you're amazing. We all knew that the top 50 scores in the province would be blocked. Ji-ing gave me a big hug. Trembling, I reached out and hugged Ji-ing back just as tightly. Next came the class reunion and filling out college preferences. But this time, my choice once again left the Ji family utterly shocked. Because I applied to Harbin Institute of Technology, and Ji's mother couldn't understand it. Why would I give up Peking University, which was right at our doorstep, for Harbin? And Peking University was practically at home. Why go to a school 1,000 miles away? Ji's mother was indeed a bit unhappy. She even refused to go on the trip we had planned. In the end, Ji-ing convinced her mother again. Ji-ing's so good. Although she often couldn't understand my choices either. She respected them. I've thanked Ji Zhe more than once. Thanks to the reborn Ji Zhe for bringing Ji Ying back right away. On the day of the class reunion, I received confessions from several boys, but I turned them all down. Then I went to Milan with Ji Ying. It was Ji Ying's first time there too. This was a trip just for the two of us. After returning from abroad, I went back to the orphanage. The headmistress still remembered me. When she found out I got into university, she almost burst into tears. Good, good, good. After she calmed down, she asked if the Ji family treated me well. I nodded. Yes, very well. In this life, it really was very, very good. Half a month before the semester started, Ji Ying boarded a plane to go abroad. That evening, I also packed my luggage. Mother Ji couldn't understand again why I had to go to school so early. When I passed by Mother Ji's room that night, I vaguely heard her say, "After all, she's not my own flesh and blood. No matter how much you give, you can't raise them to be close to you." Back in my room, I didn't turn on the light. Instead, I sat in the darkness for the entire night. The next day, the Ji family wanted to take me to the airport. I couldn't refuse. Ji Zhe drove the car, and his parents came along too. All the way, Ji's mother kept telling me to eat and drink well when I was abroad. Don't get too tired, don't fall in love too early, don't work too hard. I patiently responded to each one. At the airport, I waved goodbye to each of them. I originally wanted to take the suitcase from Ji Zhe's hand, but he dodged. Let's go. I was a bit confused as I watched Ji Zhe walk into the waiting room with me. And then we got on the plane together. On the plane, looking at Ji Zhe beside me, I still couldn't snap out of it. What's wrong? Dumbstruck? Ji Zhe tucked a neck pillow behind me. I shook my head and put on my earphones. My body remained stiff the whole flight. Fortunately, the plane landed 2 hours later. Ji Zhe took me to the school, helped me complete all the enrollment procedures, and then carried my suitcase up to the dormitory. My roommates initially thought Ji Zhe was my boyfriend. But after Ji Zhe left and they found out he was my brother, my roommates all joked and asked me to share his WeChat contact with them. Actually, in this life, my interactions with Ji Zhe have been very, very few. In total, the words we've exchanged probably amount to less than 100 sentences. I know Ji Zhe probably hates me, so I've always kept a proper distance from Ji Zhe. I've never even smiled at Ji Zhe. Not just Ji Zhe, I keep my distance from almost everyone. In our past life, he hated that my smile at age 5 made him choose me. After his rebirth, Ji Zhe must also hate it when I smile. So when facing them at the Ji family home, I've always been reserved. Only around Ji Ying can I relax a little. Now, far away from the capital city of Jing, I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. I thought that coming here, far from the capital, I could start a new life. At the very least, I wouldn't have to constantly recall my past life. College life for me is busy and fulfilling. The only thing that troubles me is the annual New Year celebration. I always have to rack my brains for different excuses not to go back. At first, Ji Ying was always regretful that she couldn't see me. By the second year, when Ji Ying saw that I still wasn't going back, she called me very seriously. Shan, what's wrong with you? I feel like you just went to college, but it's as if you're trying to break away from our family. I clutched my phone tightly, not knowing what to say. Seeing that she couldn't persuade me, Ji Ying could only hang up dejectedly. I cooked myself a bowl of instant noodles in the dorm. This was the time at school. I stayed for the new year on my own for the second time. My roommates had all gone back, leaving only me. Coincidentally, I had caught a cold a couple of days ago and still hadn't recovered. After finishing the noodles, I took out my cold medicine. I touched my forehead. It seemed like I still had a mild fever. I wondered if the Ji family had already had their New Year's Eve dinner. I didn't know why, even though I was the one who wanted to escape from there. At this moment, I couldn't help but think of the warm orange glow of the lights in the Ji family home, and the laughter and joy from the New Year's Eve dinners we had together in the past. I think I must be sick. Only when sick do I become fragile. Only then do I covet things that don't belong to me. After finishing the instant noodles, I lay on the bed in a daze. Occasionally hearing the sound of firecrackers outside the window, I forced myself to close my eyes. Suddenly, my phone rang. I saw it was Ji Ying. Hey, Sparkle, come down quickly. I abruptly sat up from the bed. Sparkle, come down now, I'm right at your school gate. I froze for a moment, grabbed my coat, and rushed out. From afar, I saw several figures standing at the gate. I paused mid-step, but Jiying had clearly already spotted me. Sparkle.
I rushed over.
But I saw Jiying, her father, her mother, and even Jize all standing at the gate. My eyes welled up, and I suddenly felt like I had been very willful. Seeing me cry, Jiying seemed delighted instead. She pulled me into a tight hug. "You little ungrateful one. I knew you'd miss me." The moment I hugged Jiying tightly, I felt a gaze fixed on me. I didn't look up. That time, I went with everyone to stay in a hotel suite. Jiying quickly noticed something was wrong with me and forcefully dragged me to the hospital. After a series of tests, I not only had to stay for an 4 drip, but also needed 3 consecutive days of 4 fluids. Jiying exclaimed that it was a good thing they came in time. Otherwise, you'd be here alone during the new year. Not only lonely and by yourself, but also running a fever. What would you have done? Jiying always appears by my side when I need her most. I thought it was just a common cold. But on the 3rd day, my vision went black, and I suddenly lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I was in the ICU. The doctor said I had acute renal failure. Other than dialysis, the only way to survive is a kidney transplant. I stared blankly at the ceiling. I don't understand why fate is playing such a cruel joke on me. I had tried so hard to break away from the Ji family and live my own life. I had even gotten into a good university. In just 2 more years, I would be able to work. But now, everything seems hopeless. After being transferred to a regular ward, I saw that Jiying's eyes were swollen from crying. She skipped school even though it was about to start, taking a long leave instead, insisting on staying by my side. I was also transferred to a hospital in the capital. The Ji family told me to wait for a kidney donor on the list. But who knows when a kidney donor might become available. What I didn't expect was that Jiying would secretly go for a matching test behind our backs. And it was successful. I lay in bed, listening to Ji's mother hysterically yelling in the hallway. "Jiying, have you thought about how you'll live the rest of your life if you give up a kidney? You might end up like Shanshan, suddenly having something like this happen. Then who would save you?" Enough. Don't tell me that losing 1 kidney won't make a difference. Jiying, you're still young. You have a long life ahead of you. I won't allow you to do something so foolish. My tears fell down. Jiying, I won't allow it either.
You did such a thing.
Taking advantage of the time when the Ji family wasn't around, I packed my things and left the hospital. I had nowhere to go. Even more, I didn't want the Ji family to know where I was. I couldn't even take a high-speed train or a flight. I took an unlicensed taxi to the neighboring city. This place had no mountains and no sea. It wasn't a city I liked, but I didn't want to spend more money, so I couldn't go farther. I had thought that as long as I studied hard and found a job after graduation, I could work hard to earn money and pay back all the money the Ji family had spent on me over the years. But now, clearly, I couldn't do it. Since childhood, everything Jiying had, I also had. All kinds of tutoring classes, piano lessons, dance lessons. The Ji family spent at least 2 million on me. Now I'm sick. Even if I exhaust all my strength, I'm afraid I won't be able to make much money. I think, in this lifetime, in the end, I still owe the Ji family. I rented a small room in a narrow alley. To appear somewhat normal, I started working at a flower shop helping to wrap bouquets. Working at a milk tea shop or anything like that was out of the question, because now I couldn't even get the most basic health certificate. The work at the flower shop wasn't long, just 6 hours a day and not tiring. But every time I returned to the rented room, I felt so lonely. In the past, I could pour all my energy into studying, because I still had a future. But now there is no future. My hard work studying seems utterly useless. Today is Valentine's Day. The flower shop was busy until late, and by the time I got off work, it was almost midnight. There were no buses, so I slowly walked back. But on the way, I kept feeling like someone was following me. Ahead was a narrow street with no streetlights. At this moment, there was no one else around. I could only walk faster and faster. Finally, I broke into a light jog. But I noticed the footsteps behind me seemed to speed up too. Panicking, I tripped and fell to the ground. I sensed someone approaching me. I screamed and stepped back. The news reports of being dismembered, of being first raped and then killed began to flood my mind. I felt my wrist being grabbed and finally tears fell. No, 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 please spare me. I beg you, please. I'm sick. Really, I have no money. Please, please spare me.
Ah.
Help. I kicked and hit the person in front of me with all my strength. But unexpectedly, I was suddenly held tightly. Shan Shan, Shan Shan, it's me. I'm here, it's me. I heard a man's voice and suddenly froze. Suddenly, I thought of my past life again. Between the ages of 5 and 15, I was really, really happy. Mother Ji was gentle. Father Ji was mild. Especially my brother Ji-zae, who stayed by my side whether in class or after school. At that time, Ji-zae was already a freshman in college. Tall, handsome, and always putting me first, it was easy for me to fall in love with him. He was the hero of my diary. It was also the secret infatuation of my naive youth.
But all of that changed on that day.
Ji-zae was no longer the Ji-zae I used to like.
I knew he didn't like me.
I knew he didn't like my smile. I also knew that after that time I was with him, Ji-zae hated me even more. But was that what I wanted? I didn't even know how I ended up in Ji-zae's room. I didn't know why I ended up with Ji-zae. I had only wanted to go to the bathroom to splash cold water. But I ended up with Ji-zae. And I got pregnant. My life. Ruined. In the end, I died too. In this life, I don't want to have anything to do with the Ji family. But Ji-zae just refused to let me go. He wanted me to approach that family again. He wanted me to remember the past life over and over. He made me feel both admiration for Ji-ing and jealousy. Ji-ing was so good, so good. So good that she was willing to give me one of her kidneys. But she didn't know the true nature of my kindness toward her. How much of it was insincere. Because I knew that as the adopted daughter of the Ji family, only by treating Ji-ing as my everything could I gain the approval of everyone in the Ji family. Ji-zae held me, who was about to collapse, and couldn't say a word. After a long while, I broke free from his embrace and returned to the rented room. I didn't know why Ji-zae had found this place. And I didn't want to know why he had followed me. Clearly, in my past life, he had hated me so much. In the following days, Ji-zae always silently followed me. I didn't want to care or ask. But even the flower shop owner noticed something was wrong. She asked me if I had a fight with my boyfriend. I could only walk out in silence. I didn't want to lose this job. I stubbornly refused to spend any more of the Ji family's money. I knew I was being foolish. But I always felt, even if I were to die, I didn't want to use another cent of the Ji family's money. Just let me leave cleanly. Can't I? Seeing the disbelief in Ji-zae's eyes as he looked at me, I only then realized that I had actually spoken my thoughts out loud. I said, let me leave cleanly. Can't I? I saw Ji-zae's eyes brimming with tears. I saw him looking at me in shock, saw the pain in his eyes. I heard him say, Shan Shan.
I'm sorry, kropka.
My condition seemed to deteriorate quickly. Once again, I was sent to the ICU. At that time, I was transferred back to Jingshi. Ji-ing knelt down again to beg me. Sister Shan Shan, I beg you. Let me save you, okay? Please. I weakly grabbed Ji-ing's hand and shook my head again. This was Ji-ing's first time calling me sister. I was happy, but no matter how many times she called me, I could not accept her giving me one of her kidneys. If it were in the past, I refused because I couldn't bear the what if again. What if something happened to Ji-ing because of me? I couldn't imagine how the Ji family would treat me again. But now I am unwilling. Because I truly cannot ruin Ji-ing's remaining years. Ji's mother has also aged a lot during this time. The originally elegant rich woman now has much deeper crow's feet at the corners of her eyes. I know she is struggling, regretting because after that incident, Ji-ing hasn't spoken to her until now. She also feels that she is an unfit adoptive mother. Her selfishness caused my condition to worsen so quickly. But actually, I no longer resent Ji's mother now. Because I know that not only did Ji-ing go for the matching test, but Ji's mother also did. It's just a pity that her kidney is not suitable for me. But Ji's mother never mentioned any of this. Just as the Ji family was shrouded in gloom and despair, we suddenly received a call from the hospital. I have gotten a kidney source.
18 je z perspektiv.
I made an excuse that the company abroad had issues and I needed to go on a business trip.
My mother even complained about me.
She said that Shan Shan finally got a matching donor and was about to have surgery, yet as her brother, I didn't care at all. Then she went on and on about how over the years, I had repeatedly ignored Shan Shan. She said, "She's your sister too. Yet you remember Ji Ying's birthday every year, but never remember Shan Shan's. In this family, you're the only one who has always treated Shan Shan as an outsider." I smiled bitterly. Actually, when it came to Shan Shan at first, I didn't know how to face her. Seeing her always reminded me of my past life. It reminded me of how in that past life, my father, my mother, and I had treated Shan Shan. Actually, I knew very well that Ji Ying's death in the past life had nothing to do with Shan Shan. But back then, we were all overwhelmed by immense grief. So time and again, I watched Shan Shan being bullied and humiliated, and each time I gritted my teeth and pretended not to see, as if that way Shan Shan could feel the same pain as me. Ji Ying was dead, so Shan Shan should also suffer. I even hurt her with my words time and time again, until the day Shan Shan was drugged. Actually, that day, I overheard at school that Shan Shan had been drugged, and I chased after her. But I never expected that when Shan Shan saw me, she would cling to me and wouldn't let go. It was me. I couldn't control myself. After that night, I regretted it deeply too. But I still couldn't stop myself from saying harsh words to Shan Shan. When I found out Shan Shan was pregnant, I panicked and sent her to the operating table. That day, she begged me desperately. Said no, but I still went ahead stubbornly. In that lifetime, it wasn't until Shan Shan died that I realized I was a scumbag. Reborn into this life, I brought Ji Ying back. I also brought Shan Shan back. I thought I was making amends. But gradually I came to realize Shan Shan didn't seem happy. It wasn't that I didn't notice Shan Shan hiding from us even at the orphanage. But I stubbornly believed that the Ji family could provide better conditions for Shan Shan. Besides, in the past life, the Ji family owed Shan Shan. So in this life, Shan Shan wanted to attend number 1 high school. She wanted to go thousands of miles away. I even convinced my family to agree. What Shan Shan didn't know was, during her 2 years in college, I had visited her more than once. The library, the milk tea shop, even outside her dormitory. Until that time, she was suddenly hospitalized. I saw how my mother opposed Ji Ying donating a kidney. I also saw that my mother, not just herself, but also dragged my father into secretly undergoing a match test. But unfortunately, I was more cautious. I secretly went to do it myself as well. Heaven has eyes. My kidney was compatible with Shan Shan. I used studying abroad as an excuse, but ended up lying in the same operating room as Shan Shan. Separated only by a curtain, I knew Shan Shan was right there. Before the surgery, I instructed the doctor, "Shan Shan seems to have a coagulation disorder. Make sure to be fully prepared." The surgery was a success. I was transferred to another hospital to recover. My parents and younger sister were very happy. They all sent me messages saying the surgery went well. Later, Shan Shan went back to continue her college studies. As for me, I actually found that losing one kidney didn't seem to change my life much. If not for the extra scar on my body, I sometimes even forgot that I was missing a kidney. After I recovered, I habitually flew to see Shan Shan again. I knew she had excellent grades, and that she had joined a prestigious research lab in her senior year. Then one time, I saw Shan Shan coming out of the school gate, and beside her, there was a man. They were very intimate. In Shan Shan's eyes, that shy and uncontrollable smile made my heart ache to the point of suffocation. I thought, maybe the doctor made a mistake during the last surgery. Gave half of my heart to Shan Shan. Otherwise, how could it hurt so much?